In Chapter 4, we discussed and focused. It discusses and focuses on classroom-based policies that reinforce social inequities, but it's just focusing on classroom and how the classroom structure and how teachers teach, how that solely affects social equalities. Some of the school-based policies that they highlighted were tracking, retention, standardized testing, curriculum, pedagogy, physical structure, disciplinary policies, limited roles to students and teachers, the limited family and community involvement. And so some of those that highlighted, and I thought that highlighted the most out of reinforced social inequities were the curriculum and pedagogy, and like physical structure too, because the curriculum, a lot of teachers and a lot of school systems believe that students coming from a slow socio-economic environment or community actually can't perform the same way that kids from a middle-class community can. And a lot of times, and if it's like an African-American community that's in that low socio-economic community, then that's it's even worse, because then teachers only teach them the basics because they don't feel that, they think that, they need to learn the basics before they learn any of the higher complex ways of teaching, which isn't true, because they're kids and all kids can learn the same way. We can't hold any kids higher that come from a different middle class or a different class higher than kids from a lower class, because that just simply isn't fair. It's not doing the kids the best. It sets the kids up for failure, because then they think that once they do learn those complex ways, that they're not smart enough, or that, they shouldn't be taught that. They should be taught simple, basic stuff, which isn't true. And then for pedagogy, it's just the way teachers teach. They'll treat kids from, like I said, or from black and white, like we discussed in class. If you're black, you might be taught differently, and you're held to high or lower standards. That's not just in the classroom education-wise. It's just in school violence and disciplinary. And we talked about the pipeline to the prison to pipeline, and how it highlights how black students are more likely to face higher disciplinary actions than white students, which sets up the kids that later in life are failure, because then they're so used to being corrected for everything that they do that they can't learn the right way. And then I think the physical structures, a lot of lower class or low socioeconomic communities, and if a school's in that community, that school doesn't have the necessary, they don't have their needs met. They don't have the same maybe libraries, computer classes that other schools do, and it's not bringing out the full potential in students, and it's just continuing that idea that black kids or poor kids can't learn the same, or that they're held to different standards, and that we should just level the playing field for all students, because they're kids, and a kid isn't thinking about their economic class when they come to school. A kid's trying to think about how what am I going to learn today? And when you're holding kids to a different standard, it's not doing them any justice. And like we talked about in Chapter 5, how culture may influence but not determine who we are. So just because we come from a poor or low class, doesn't mean that we have to be poor, that we can't reach for higher dreams of being a doctor. We need to give kids the opportunity to let them choose what they want to be, and not influence any of their decision making with that. And the thing that we talked about in class, the 5 C's, we watched that video, that TED Talk, and how having teacher-student relationships and having the teachers give the kids an opportunity to teach. I think that is when I become a teacher, that's what I want to include in my teaching, is that I want to give kids the opportunity to teach the way they want to teach, maybe once a week, and so it's not all like I'm not the only person that can teach someone. Like, I want, as a teacher, I still want to be a student to my students. You know, I want to learn what they want to know. I want to learn how they want to know, how they want to be learned. Like we talked about, co-teaching, the context, the content, and I think that's just one of the best ways that we could change educational system is by not having the kids only, like not having the teachers be the only teachers in class, if that makes sense, and giving kids the chance to teach their friends and their other students would I think would change the education persona and the stigma that's against low socioeconomic economic communities. And I think that's what Chapter 4 and the beginning half of Chapter 5 discuss, and what we discussed in class and on all those videos. And yeah, so I think that's what the main highlights, the main school-based policies and having co-teaching. I think those are the most important parts of Chapter 4 and 5.